rush. We see, I mean, extended range and rebreathers are becoming more commonplace. You know, we are seeing more and more of it. And more recreational dive professionals do want to go down that route. And the first question I get from them is, I want to be an instructor. And it's like, absolutely right. Don't run before you can walk. You know, it's quite complex in some parts, and having a good solid groundwork of experience, so the diver level is really critical to it. So I mean, we encourage and we want everybody to go down the route, and we want more extended range instructors. But first, get that solid base, get the diver level under your belt, and then get experience. And experience and experience and experience. Because the more experience that you have at the diver level, it will just make that instructor process just more enjoyable, because it's going to be more, you know, your skills are more of a habit. Your theoretical knowledge is you know, is on point. When people are trying to rush and, okay, I've gained the diver level, I have the minimum, now I want the instructor, now the next level in the minimum, it will catch up on them. So, you know, I mean, luckily within SSI, of course, we are promoting experienced dives, and I think we need to put a really strong emphasis on that. So, you know, go out there, get the diver level done, and then just get diving. Get diving, get diving, get diving, until everything is as easy as it is like on a recreational dive, when everything comes automatic, when everything is a habit. When, I don't want to say that you don't have to think about it, because, you know, for sure we're thinking, but the process is coming more easy. And once it gets to that point, once they are just as happy putting on that twin set, planning that dive as they would be on a recreational, then they should go, right, now how do I become the instructor? So I think that's kind of my general advice for them is, you know, don't run before you can walk, slow and steady, and it will really help the instructor process.
Okay, then please give 3 advices to a successful dive pros.
3 advice for a successful dive pro. You know, the first is you've got to follow your heart. You've really got to follow your heart. And I've seen some dive pros leave the industry, burn out, become, I'm going to say, bad dive pros, because they're burnt out, because they don't have enough variety, because they've got bored. You see it sometimes in the busy diving centers, where an instructor will be running an open water program after an open water program after an open water program. And it's great to begin with, but eventually it's the same with any activity you do. If you're doing it over and over and over and over again without variety, you're going to lose interest, you lose passion, and that's where it becomes detrimental. So I guess my guidance number 1, follow your heart and keep variety in what you are doing. So alternate, do some weeks of guided experience dives, do some weeks of entry-level training, do some weeks of continuing education. If you're already an extended range diver, do some weeks of extended range guiding, do some weeks of extended range teaching. And I think, you know, for somebody to be successful as a dive pro, and especially continuously, then having this diversity and following the heart where your passion is, I think will set them up really good. So that would be my guidance number 1. Need to find 2 more. Okay, number 2. Have patience. Really have patience. You know, I'm a little bit lucky in that historically my training, I was training to become a teacher. And when you're training to become a teacher, it's not just about what am I going to teach. It's the psychology, it's the physiology, it's the human factors. There's so much to deal with personality types and everything like that. And as a dive pro, you know, sometimes we don't know who's going to walk in that door. We don't know what personality type of person we're going to be training, you know, whether it's gender, male, female, whether it's age, you know, if you're going to teach a junior, if you're going to teach an adult, depending on the program that you're teaching. You know, I can recall situations where you have somebody, you're training them for open water diver, and in the pool they're panicking, and then they confess to you, by the way, they're scared of water. You're like, oh, you know, but you need to have patience, you need to have compassion, you need to have understanding, and sometimes that's hard. Sometimes, you know, the pressure is on as a dive pro to get programs completed in time. You got paying customers in most situations. You know, you don't want to let them down, you don't want to let the diving center down, so there's a lot of pressures on being a dive pro, but you can't let that get in the way of showing the humiliation, the compassion, and the patience that you need with every student that you're going to have. So number 2, guidance, have patience. Number 3, what is the next thing for being a good dive pro? I think you've got to stay up to date. You have to stay up to date. The industry is evolving, especially in the world of technical. You know, you look at the development of equipment, whether it's in computers, rebreathers, semi-closed rebreathers. We look at the knowledge, academic knowledge, the theoretical knowledge from physiology side, body physiology side. Still, you know, every year, every couple of months, different reports will come out about the effects of diving on our body, because it's still relatively new, especially when we're looking at the technical, the diving gases, helium exposures, oxygen exposures, gas densities. I mean, there's so much still new that's only being found out, and I believe it's our duty. It is our duty. This is our industry. We can't always wait for somebody to say, hey, here's some new information. You know, we need to be a little bit proactive in that and seek out that information to make sure that we're staying up there on top of the game, because our customers can ask us any question. And if they're reading news articles coming about, then there's going to be an expectation that we've also read them, because that's our job. So yeah, definitely. So guidance number 3 is going to be stay active and stay up to date.
Recording this video now in 2020. So maybe just for the future. So what the technical diving actually need to grow more and to shine more?
Oof. This is, yeah, I think it's going to be a constant battle of maybe like my lifetime within the diving industry, that I hope by the end of my lifetime we've managed to achieve it. But there's still this massive barrier where we sit and we put recreational divers on one side, and we sit and we put technical divers on the other side. And you know, historically this is developed because recreational diving has its own limits, it has its own standards. The technical was more left from military growth, military background. You know, you still go around the dive shows. If you walk around like some of the big dive shows, DEMA or Boat Show, any of these trade shows, you go to the recreational side, which is all lovely bright colors and blues and pinks and yellows and greens. And then you go to the technical side and everything's black. And it's intimidating for many people. You see the pictures there of, you know, people with 7 tanks around them. And we're still, as an industry, we need to break that barrier down and to say, listen, diving is diving. You start at the beginning and you end wherever and as far as you want to go. And this is something that we're really working hard on, to go, listen, start as an open water diver, do some specialities, you know, increase your depth. Once your depth isn't your limiting factor, your decompression time will be your limiting factor. So do some training to go beyond the decompression limit. Once you do that, gas volume is going to be your issue. Do some training to go into double tanks maybe. And it should be progressive. And so I would love to see in the future, in my lifetime, at least starting, that diver training takes more of a continuum rather than this section and this section. It should be from the outset, here's where you start, and you just go and go and go. And I think if we can achieve that, then the growth within the number of divers taking part and extending their range, extending their skills, and going into technical diving, those numbers will grow. I mean, but it's a pyramid, right? So you're always going to have the biggest number at the bottom, your open waters, and it is going to go like that. We know that. But let's try and make it less like that. We can expand it a little bit.
But who can lead this approach? I mean, is it the training agencies? Is it the diving operators or the instructors and the professionals?
So, I mean, it's a little bit of both. I mean, the training agencies for sure have such a massive input because they need to have the right philosophy. They need to have the right programs in place to allow a continuum. So the training agency definitely forms that basis. If they don't have the structure of programs, then nothing's going to happen. But once they have the structure of programs, then it's the responsibility of us as the dive pros, especially as the trainers, to make sure that when we are creating instructors, that we give them this knowledge from the very beginning. Still today, when you talk to a lot of recreational instructors, they can reel off all the recreational programs like that. You ask them about anything technical, yeah, it's a big gray. But if we build more knowledge into them from the beginning, so they're not thinking of it as two separate things, if their mindset is right to begin with, then we're going to get that message over. So the training agency has a major role. But it's the dive professionals, but it's media. It's also media. We need to work on the imagery that goes alongside divers extending their range. To a certain degree, this stigma of deep, dark, and dangerous. These slogans are great. And listen, I have a T-shirt that says the same. Don't get me wrong. But that doesn't promote maybe the diving in the way that we need in order to get more people to come through. So it's a multi-dimensional thing. We can't put the responsibility onto any one place or any one person. Everybody's got to be following the same mindset, and that's why it takes time.
Totally agree. Sure, totally agree. Is it difficult to be a female technical diving instructor in Egypt? And remember, you're coming back, so just.
You know what? Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, in that it was. But you have to remember. So I mean, I was lucky. I got into the industry young, so I was already a young female instructor. I was already a dive master at 18. I think I became the instructor at 20. I got my first technical instructor rating. I think I was still only like 21, something like that. In that era, the industry was very dominant male. I mean, it still is today, but it was more heavy then. The people signing up, registering to do a technical diver course were kind of like big burly men wanting to have some hardcore deep action, and it was very macho and ego orientated. So for me to become a technical instructor, that was not a difficult part. I was lucky. I had great trainers around who were open. But the challenge was, so when a customer came to the dive center and they're there, I'm here for my technical diving course, and the dive center would go, oh, here's Braun, she's going to be your instructor. The look on their face when they would see this young girl. And for many, that would be very demoralizing. For many young female instructors, that might just be too much. It might put them off. So it was hard, but I knew I had confidence in my skills. I had confidence in my ability. And I just knew all I needed to do was deal with it until we could go into the water. Because once they could see me in the water, more important, once I could see them, once they could see me, then they were kind of like, huh, okay, she may be young, she may be female, but you know, that girl can hold her own. I can stand on the back of that boat with a twin set on my back and stage tanks for much longer than most of you men. And once they could kind of see that, it was almost as though you were more welcomed into the club. But that took a while to get to. And I think as I've got older, I've got less concerned about that. Again, because you grow in yourself, you grow in your confidence. And because the industry has changed. It's not as much macho as it was. So it was hard initially those years ago. It has got a lot easier today. It is still male orientated, yes. But if as an instructor, you have confidence in your ability, you have confidence in your skills, then no, the industry is now is really accepting and encouraging more and more females to get into it. So the hard part we did years ago. Now it should be smooth sailing. Yeah.
What I wanted to say. So, what are you up to at the moment? What you are doing? Do you have any kind of project in which you are working at?
So right now we're thinking lockdown right now, or we're talking generally?
In general, yeah.
So my work is changing over the years. Obviously, we have the Textream Diving, my company in Egypt, where we specialize in the extended range programs. I'm a little bit lucky from that side. I have a great colleague, Paul, who's based over in Egypt, and I've been working with him for the last couple of years, and he's great. He is like my little right-hand man. If it wasn't for him, I would have to sit in that Egypt office every day and stuff, but he's great. I can leave him to basically to run the company over there, which gives me the opportunity to focus on the diving that I want to do. So I go back to Egypt when it's for any pro level training, whether it's for the technical safaris. When I'm not doing that, my time is filled up with projects set by the head office. So at the moment, within SSI, we're dealing with projects with cave and developing full cave, technical rec, CCR hypoxic trimix training. We're looking at quietly another project, which I can't say the name of it yet, but it's going to help with this transition from recreational to technical. We're working on something to help break down that bridge. Constantly we're evolving and doing development work to introduce new rebreathers. So we've recently, even during lockdown, we've managed to launch the JJ CCR unit now into SSI. We've brought in the SF2 CCR into SSI. We are working on others, of which names I shall not mention at the moment, but we are working on others. So it's constant. You know, when I started development work for SSI, I was like, well, okay, I can see work for a year. I think that was 5 years ago. And I still can't see the end of the list at the moment. It's continuous. And it's, yeah, it's super exciting. We get to work with so many different specialists in all of these different areas worldwide. And I think that's the most incredible thing, you know. If we're
amazing, yeah.
And I sit here from the UK office at the moment, and you know we'll have the meetings with all of our service centers from literally from around the world, and I can't help but feel, I mean, I'm blessed, really blessed to be part of such an exciting team of proactive individuals, like from the very top, who are still looking to drive this industry forward and increase business. So yeah, that's kind of ongoing. So the safari side and the pro training is continuous. The development side is also continuous the whole time, which doesn't really give me much free time for anything else. We do trade shows, everything, but yeah, no, it's never any quiet time. Lucky to say.
To where gonna be your first flight? To which destination?
Well, it's going to sound like an odd thing, but I hope back to Egypt because I have an apartment I need to fix.
Hopefully with no holes.
Small structural issues. When I left there last time, I wasn't supposed to have left. But no, I mean, I don't know, actually. I'm supposed to be. I don't think it will happen. But at the end of June, I was supposed to be going over to Croatia. Was due to spend a couple of weeks there, actually look into the Mars Horizon, the semi-closed rebreather, just to focus on that for a couple of weeks. In all honesty, I don't think that's going to happen. So the next destination probably will be coming back to Egypt, actually. Coming back, seeing how the company's doing, and getting back to some sunshine and back to the blue waters. So, but yeah, who knows? It's all a bit of a big fat question mark at the moment. But as soon as those flights open, I will be on one going somewhere, I'm sure.
Yes, sure. Hope that this can happen faster.
Yeah, we all do. Yes. Costing me a fortune staying at home.
Yes. Okay, Kat, thank you very much. Actually, we are done. I appreciate your time so much and all what you have said.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.